What's up YouTube, this is Ringo from Sphere, and today we are going to make our first video. Sorry for my raspy voice because I'm just recovering from some cough. So you guys can hear me cough here and there in the video, but anyhow, that's not important. So today we are going to go through some IB related issue. And this issue is pretty much a big one for everyone since everyone has to touch on this, and this is the TOK. So what does this mean? Well, the TOK has came out. The new question for the 2018 batch of students has came out, and some of these questions are quite tricky but not actually that difficult. I think that they made a very good approach into making these questions more flexible, I would say. So I am going to talk about, in this series, I'm going to talk about a number of these questions, actually all 6 of them, and to allow you guys some different perspective into how you guys will be approaching some of these questions, or what kind of perspective should you look at these questions on. And remember, these are just opinion, you don't have to follow it, but it's just some knowledge that I want to give you guys, and hopefully you guys will enjoy some of these videos. And remember, do hit that like and subscribe button because, we're going to have a lot more of these videos coming. And yeah, and if you really do need help with a lot of these TOK questions, there are a number of TOK tutors which I can recommend you. One of which, of course, is 7 Education. And yeah, do contact them, and the details will be in the description below. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the new TOK question. So you guys will see my eyes kind of look down because that's where my computer is. So the first question says, the field of study of academic discipline can overlap, but adopting an interdisciplinary approach to the production of knowledge leads only to confusion. That, my friend, is one of the easier questions in this whole set. So yeah, we'll get into that very soon. So actually, I should just recite all of them to you guys first, and then see which one you guys like to choose, and then I'll go into it in depth. Yeah, let's do it that way. So in that first question, which I just mentioned, if you're taking anything to do with social science, geography, economics, business study, all these sort of subjects, or even psychology, you will know that this question is easy because you can easily use the human science to argue this. I'll give you more details later. So the second question, we know with confidence only when we know little. With knowledge, doubt increases. Discuss this statement. So, if you're a very sciencey person, I think, this will be interesting. If you're like a mathematical science person, this will be a good argument because, when you learn more things, do you actually have more doubts? And is that the end of the line? Does the doubt resolve to a solution? That's for later video. Next question. Without the assumption of the existence of uniformity, there can be no knowledge. This is a trick question. Is there an existence of uniformity? Can knowledge all agree and come to a uniformity? Can the method in which we approach or have learned these knowledge be uniform? So this is a very tricky one. And I think that, a majority of people will find this very tricky. I would not suggest it, but I will go over it later. Question number 4. Suspension of disbelief is an essential feature in theater. Is it essential in other areas of knowledge? What is that suspension of disbelief? Well, suspension of disbelief is that, is it this one? Is it that one? It's just that before it hits the climax, there's suspension that kind of makes you wonder what is coming up next. So this will be an interesting one, but I have a feeling it's slightly difficult for a majority of people. and it can easily be misinterpreted. So I would pretty much steer away from this question. Personally, I would not attempt this, but yeah. So next question. The quality of knowledge produced by an academic discipline is directly proportional to the duration of historical development of that discipline. Ooh. This is interesting. This one, if you're comparing human science and natural science, that will make sense because natural science has already been a very established science for a couple of thousands of years. Whereas, for example, psychology has been around for like 120 years. So, does it mean that the quality of knowledge changed? We could argue the amount of knowledge, but does the quality? I think that's very debatable. That's a very fun question to do, but it's very challenging, obviously, because, we have to argue for it. That can be tricky. We'll go through it later. So question number 6. Robust knowledge requires both consensus and disagreement. Robust, solid, robust knowledge. Does it require both consensus and disagreement? Or can we only have consensus? Can we have disagreement? Now this one I have a feeling it's one of those questions that on the surface it looks easy. However, when you think deeper, it's actually not. So this question, I would put a little exclamation mark, just in case that, you would think is easy. So, yeah. So these are the 6 questions for the TOK. And they're all quite interesting, to be very honest. I mean, 1 to 5 will be a very, good approach to do. Question 4, the suspension of disbelief. I'm not feeling that question to be an easy question to do, but all the other ones are relatively easy, and they are quite generous to talk about areas of knowledge, and they actually none of the question mention using ways of knowing, and that's the key, because ways of knowing should be embedded while you are acquiring that knowledge. So we should not, even though the question didn't mention ways of knowing, you should still mention ways of knowing, because that's how we achieve or how we gain knowledge. So we will talk more about the questions later, and I will talk about how you guys should structure or how we should approach it, these TOK questions. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Leave me a comment in what you guys think. Which one would you guys do? So peace out for now. This is Ringo from Edsphere.